Hey guys, welcome back to Harry Potter Folklore. So, with Hogwarts Legacy taking the gaming world by storm, I really did consider doing a let's play and taking you all through the entire game, until I realised that about 70 billion YouTubers had already done that, completed the game, and I just sat there thinking, I'm literally just repeating everything that is already available on the platform. So I thought it might be more enjoyable for me to take you all through the lives of the characters from the game instead and tell you about their stories, their motives and their powers. So we are going to start with a familiar face and someone who has been pretty much of a mainstay in the game, and that is a Slytherin student known as Sebastian Sallow. Now Sebastian, in my opinion, is a really cool student who does have sincere motives but believes that magic itself should be explored in as many aspects as it will allow. I always love running into Sebastian as I know something fun will happen, or I'll even learn a cool spell. So anyway, let's go through his story, let's talk a little bit about his life and examine his own goals. Sebastian was born in 1874 or perhaps 1875 alongside his twin sister Anne. They were raised by two professors who ingrained a thirst for knowledge into them, but also a sense of optimism and open-mindedness, which Sebastian would later hope to emulate. Their parents died when they were young after a lamp in their cellar poisoned them with an undetectable toxin. They were then taken in by their uncle Solomon Sallow, who lived in a home in Felcroft. In 1886, at the age of 11, Sebastian and his sister started attending Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, where they were both sorted into Slytherin House. He became best friends with Ominous Gaunt, a fellow Slytherin in his year, and he, Ominous and Anne would often go to the Undercroft, a secret area within Hogwarts Castle that Ominous knew about through his family, to play gobstones and hang out. As Ominous himself was deeply uncomfortable with his family owing to his own childhood experiences, Sebastian entertained him at their home in Felcroft, developing an even closer bond. Sebastian's life changed around his 4th year at Hogwarts when Anne was attacked and cursed during a raid on their house in Felcroft, presumably by Ranroks loyalists but actually by Victor Rookwood, resulting in her suffering from an illness. It left her in constant pain and unable to attend Hogwarts. Sebastian wanted to cure her of this curse, and after trying everything from Nurse Blaney to St. Mungo's Hospital for Magical Maladies and Injuries, came to confide in the dark arts as a last hope. After this incident, Sebastian developed a strong hatred for goblins, preferring them dead than alive. Sebastian was charismatic and unafraid of detention and breaking rules. He was undaunted and determined to pursue his goals and was unbothered by defeat. He was willing to use the dark arts to help his sister and justified it due to her condition. He did not view magic as good or evil, but rather a tool to achieve his goals. He was optimistic, a trait his parents also had, and he relied on their memory to stay open-minded and persistent, pursuing and using knowledge as a guide. Sebastian's earliest known awareness of the dark arts was when he was a child and learned that his uncle Solomon had cast an unforgivable curse during his time as an Auror. By the age of 15, he was capable of casting all 3 unforgivable curses himself, even though they required extraordinary willpower and a real desire to commit evil in order to cast. He'll be the one to teach you the curse in the game. Anyway, Sebastian's range of spells were notably offensive, favouring spells such as the Blasting Curse, and often jumping straight to the unforgivable curses by mere instinct. Even as a young wizard, he was addicted to dark spellbooks such as Slytherin's spellbook and was enthralled by darker tones such as Magique Most Evil. Sebastian justified his interest in the dark arts by claiming it was simply to find a cure for his sister Anne. However, not only did Anne not wish to be cured in this way, Sebastian also seemed to genuinely enjoy the dark arts regardless, finding it incredible that he was able to possess Inferi in the catacombs of Felcroft. Sebastian was a highly charismatic and confident individual, which not only impressed his fellow students but allowed him to sway and manipulate his closest friends as well. He was capable of convincing Ominous Gaunt to open Slytherin's scriptorium, something that initially Ominous was heavily reluctant to do, by appealing to Ominous's desire to learn the truth about his missing aunt. When challenged on his use of the dark arts, he was able to successfully avoid a direct promise to both Ominous and Anne that whatever mission he was doing would be his last venture and then he would stop, before simply continuing to push the boundary further. Sebastian Sallow was the only individual that Sebastian was unable to sway, which irritated him greatly. Despite his many faults, Sebastian could not ignore his enormous devotion to his twin sister Anne, to the point that he would willingly sacrifice his own code of morality to attempt to save her, something we've seen happen to many characters in different franchises. For 2 years, he gave his full attention to restoring Anne's health, refusing to accept his uncle's claims that she could not be saved. Sebastian's relationship with his uncle and guardian Sebastian Sallow was notoriously poor. Solomon constantly berated Sebastian's stubbornness and refusal to accept that Anne could not be saved, detesting his nephew's involvement with the dark arts. Meanwhile, Sebastian was unwilling to accept his uncle's reluctance to fully treat his sister, viewing him as letting her suffer. Solomon was the only individual who did not fall prey to Sebastian's natural charisma, correctly perceiving him as intelligent and dangerous. After dabbling with the dark arts, he evicted Sebastian from their home and forbade him from interacting with their sister, after which relations between the two fully eroded. So guys, I'm not going to reveal too much more about Sebastian's story, as you will find out as you play the game. For those of you on the PS4, hang in there, I promise you it will be worth it. But anyway, let's have a look at the main antagonist of the game and his story, which is of course Ranrok the Goblin. Ranrok started a Goblin Rebellion, so let's find out why by taking a look at his backstory. In Ranrok's youth, he stumbled upon a wizard's illegal dragon breeding camp and became fascinated by the creatures. Mustering the courage to speak to the man in charge after weeks of discreet observation, Ranrok noticed that he had dropped his wand. He picked it up and approached the man to give it back to him as a pretext for an introduction. The wizard, however, was enraged at the sight of a goblin handling a wand, the right to carry a wand having been long denied to all non-human creatures as per the wand ban, clause 3 of the Code of Wand Use 1631, and he assaulted Ranrok nearly to the point of death. This left the goblin with a loathing for wizards and a thirst for revenge. The goblin, who was once happy to accept his place in the wizarding world, now wanted a way to unite goblins to mount an assault on wizard kind for centuries of mistreatment. Ranrok then discovered the powers of Isadora Morganach and sought to learn more. According to goblin beliefs of ownership, he believed he was owed her ancient magic because his ancestor Bragbor built her ancient magic repositories. The goblin rebel eventually learned how to harness a corrupted form of ancient magic and would grant the goblin loyalists some of his power. Ranrok then led his rebels into open conflict with the wizarding world in 1890. He began to look into locations of the other keeper repositories and begrudgingly aligned himself with the Rookwood gang. This was a tumultuous relationship that relied solely on Victor Rookwood's knowledge of his keeper ancestor Charles Rookwood and Ranrock's ability to harness ancient magic. The alliance is made even more fragile due to Ranrock's genocidal intentions towards wizard kind and Rookwood being an espoused wizarding supremacist. Lodgok, once a good friend of Ranrok, was banished from the Loyalists after showing sympathy towards the witch, Miriam Fig, at Rookwood Castle. Guys, you will meet Lodgok throughout the game. Anyway, Ranrok killed the witch himself and stole her wand after failing to find the location of a journal. Rookwood tipped off Ranrok about the key to Vault 12 in Gringotts Wizarding Bank. He sent a corrupted dragon to intercept the carriage, but only managed to lose the key and kill Ministry employee George Osric. He then encountered a late blooming student, which is you, that will be your character in the game, and Professor Elazar Fig after arriving at Gringotts to deal with the two himself. Ranrok grew impatient with the banker, telling him all the rules of the vault, and he killed him, labeling him a traitor. So guys, just a little insight into some of the characters from Hogwarts Legacy, which will be expanded upon more as the game continues to reach more of you with the upcoming releases for the 8th generation consoles. If you like this video and you want to know the backstory of more Hogwarts Legacy characters, let me know. Thanks again and make sure to look out for my next video.